Hey folks, Stefan once again with your GoJet Pilot Group Communications Committee. Here we are in part 3 of our NavTech tutorial videos. Along with me, I've got Justin from the Scheduling Committee. What we're going to do here is we're going to show you how you should really start a bid. And starting a bid all starts with your dream bid, what you could possibly get if you're either really super senior or if you just got lucky. So I'm going to hand it over to Justin, and he's going to do the nuts and bolts on starting a basic bid. Take it away, Justin.
Hey guys, how you all doing? So the big thing we're going to start off with is on the left-hand side, we're going to be in the bids section now. And it's going to say up here, adding bid lines in progress. We have what's called the current bid and a default bid. So a current bid is going to be with what you're bidding on specifically for that month. And that's going to always be blank when you come in on the 8th of the month. And then you have a default tab. The default tab will always be there, and that's just in case you forget to bid during a bid process. So it's always a good idea to always have something in the default bid, even if it's just like, hey, I want weekends off, or hey, I just want min credit or max credit, or whatever you want. You can build the same thing in the current bid as in the default bid.
One got you with that is if you do a day off bid on a day-by-day bid, there's not going to be a Tuesday the 5th in every month. So what'll happen is we'll like kick that bid out and say unable. And so if you do want to save a default bid, try not to use a days off individually bid. Yeah, because that'll get you.
Yeah, so like Stefan was saying, you can't specify exactly what day you want off, but you can specify days of the week, weekends. That's what you can kind of do on the default side of things. And we'll kind of dig into that also kind of as we move through these videos. So the big one is we have our current bid, and then we're going to have this big blue box up here that's going to say add bid group. We're going to go ahead and click add bid group. And like I mentioned in the first video, we have a pairing bid group and a reserve bid group. We always want to start off with our pairings. That's going to be able to help you build a line, and then we'll go ahead and click the apply. So once we hit the apply, we get a new box of everything. So we'll have an add bid group. We already have that bid group already there. We'll have a prefer off, an award pairings, avoid pairings, instructions, set conditions, and waive. We'll go ahead and kind of step through these ones. So prefer off, we'll have dates list, date range, days of the week, days of a week range, and weekends, else start next bid group, all or nothing. So this system loves to work from left to right. So if I wanted to have a dates range and I wanted the 1st through the 4th off, that's how I would kind of go about that. And I can say, apply date or apply time to date range. So if I wanted to be like, hey, I want June 1st off between a certain amount of time, I can do that. But kind of coming back, we can go ahead and click the reset. We'll start over, and then we can come back to our prefer off, our dates list. This is the one we can go ahead and select a single date. Throughout here, we can just kind of pick some random dates. So we're saying over here, like I said, the system loves to work left to right. So June 10th was the first one we selected. So that's going to be the first one it's going to try to bid off. And then the second one was June 16th, and then June 7th. So it's going to give preference over that June 10th. And then if it can give you the 6th or the 16th and 7th or in the 7th off, it will go ahead and do that.
So yeah, so if you have a one day, it's like somebody's birthday, your birthday, and you are bidding days, click that button first, because that it will say this is the most important, and if I can't give you anything else off, this one will be the one.
Yes.
All right.
And then you can go ahead and click reset. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and kind of step through what these features actually mean, and then we can go ahead and start, building a perfect pairing for that person. Award pairings, like I said, this is going to look just like the pairing page that we were looking at earlier, in the sense of how we broke down to see what specific pairings that were actually available. That's going to be the same thing in here. We'll be able to click on those and specify exactly what we're looking for. So we'll kind of come back. Then we'll come down to the avoid. The avoid's going to be the exact same thing. The only thing different is that the system will draw a hard line in the sand for avoid. So if you honestly don't want something, then use the avoid. But there's always ways that you can use the award pairings to say the same thing as an avoid, but the system, will kind of work around it and not, stop building a line. And so, like I said, if you really need to avoid something, you always want to start those off. But like I said, we'll kind of demonstrate two different ways of avoiding something. We'll use award language to avoid things, and then we'll use the avoid pairings to avoid things. The next box down from there is going to be the instructions. This is where we're going to see the clear schedules start next bid group.
Ooh, one of those hieroglyphic terms that this system loves, this else start next bid group and the clear schedule. We'll get into that, I guess, either now or in another video.
Yeah, so we can kind of give a brief idea of what this clear schedule start next bid group is telling us. So if we select this, we're telling the system, hey, you may have built me a line to 68 hours, but you weren't able to meet all my requirements. So I want you to, hey, clear the schedule out. Let's go to my next bid group. And my next bid group may be a little less restrictive. So theoretically, you might not get the same trip you had above, but it's still going to filter out all your requirements you want. And the less restrictive you get, the more lines that become available to you. So we got to think it's like starting fresh. So once you click this button and you apply it, you're kind of starting fresh in the next bid group. You're not worrying about anything in the past.
Okay.
So under the set condition tab, this is where we're going to find the max credit, the min credit, the min days off in a row, the min days on in a row. And on the back end, this is where the company will set, the requirements for a min credit and a max credit. So there's a report that comes out that kind of like sets like min and max bid window, right? And, yep.
All right. Okay. Where's that? Actually, you guys are doing a newsletter where it actually says what that's going to be, right?
Yeah.
That comes out right on the bidding day.
We try to get it out before, but sometimes, United will wait till last minute to give some company the information. And so we at least try to get it out during the bid time.
Yeah, COVID has really wreaked havoc on what to expect the next month.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
But we try to keep the min and max credits, as standard as possible. And so we can expect a min credit window to be anywhere from the 75 to 85 hours and a max credit to be from 85 to 95 hours.
Okay. All right.
And then we'll get the min days off in a row. This becomes a little bit of a tricky situation because some people believe, hey, I want min days off in a row, and then they'll pick something like they want 5 days off in a row. Well, you're telling the system every time I get a day off, I want 5 days off in a row. And so as you can kind of do some simple math, there's not enough days in the month for that to happen. So you can really dig yourself into a hole if you kind of use that min days off.
So be careful with that one. All right.
Yep. The max days on in a row is how many days you're wanting to be at work. So if you want to avoid, 6 days or 5 days or 4 days, this is where you're going to tell the system, hey, I just want to work 3 days in a row. And we'll be able to select that and be able to use that information to help build. So your set conditions will always be the first thing in a bid group, followed by prefer offs, then avoids, and then awards. So that's kind of the hierarchy of everything. And then our waive, these are the contractual agreements that we have. And so the bidding system allows you to waive certain aspects of things. So your min 2 days off in a row, that is, contractual agreement we have with the company. And then our rest before travel days.
One thing I've noticed, what I do with this waive the minimum of 2 days off in a row, if you're on reserve and you're clinging to the edge of getting a line, what you might want to do is waive a contractual stipulation because then that makes it easier to fit what's left over after all these senior guys have picked up their different lines. And if you can fit it into a calendar schedule where, well, we would have been able to give this to you if you would only waive 1 day off. Well, this gives you your ability, or waive 2 days off, so you only have 1 day off. This gives you the ability to do that. This kind of lets you reach out and grab a line maybe 2 or 3 months earlier than normal.
Yep. So that's a great example of what waiving that 2 days off is for. But kind of going back from there, we can kind of go over here and we'll kind of let's set a condition. So we'll go ahead and say like, hey, my perfect, line, I want to just work my 75 hours. Then we'll get an else start next bid group window here.
Else start next bid group.
So an else start next bid group. So this one is just telling the system, hey, if I can't get my min credit window honored, go ahead and go to my next bid group. So it's always a good idea at least to have that else Knox bid group there, just in case it can't give it to you. Because when you start putting some stipulations into the bidding software itself, by going back here and saying, hey, I want to prefer something off or anything, if you can't have the 75 hours for a min credit window, then it's not even gonna look at anything else, you know. And so once we select that, so our min credit window is up here, it says add bidding line. So we're going to come up here and click the apply. Once we hit an apply, you see we have a 2 next to it now. So that's officially in our bid group now. And so now you notice how our check marks over here have went away. Now we can come over here and maybe prefer off. So now I want to prefer off, you know, weekends. So let me say, hey, I want to prefer off the weekends now. And now I can select, hey, how many weekends do I want off a month? Do I want them all, or do I want a minimum of maybe like 2? So I come back here to my weekends and I just want all the weekends off. I'll say, okay, let me apply that. So now we can see, hey, I'm preferring this. I'm prefer off my weekends. So now we said, hey, set min credit window, else start next bid group. And then I'm like, I want my weekends off. And so it's going to try to give us our weekends off, and it can't give all our weekends off. That's okay. It can give a certain number of the weekends off. We're not going to limit the amount of weekends we're asking for. So we can come back here, and now we're going to get into the avoid pairings. So the avoid pairings.
Now, shouldn't avoid pairings come first as the negative Nancy rule, or is that okay to put avoid pairings below your conditions?
Yeah. So so you want to do your set conditions, then prefers. So like prefer offs. So those will always go above your avoids or awards. Oh, because you're telling the system, hey, I want these weekends off. So don't even try to build anything on here. So
I see. So really, I mean, from the bottom of the column or from the top of the column to the bottom, it's going to go in that sequence of what's most important to you first. Correct. I mean, clearly. All right, gotcha.
So a set condition is always going to be up here. It's always going to be your number 1 in your bid group, and then a prefer off will always be a number 2 in your bid group.
Gotcha.
And then this is when, if you have a hard line in the sand that you don't want to do something, this is where these avoids come in here. So, like if I don't want a layover in, let's call it Cleveland, I'm going to tell the system, hey, I don't want layovers in Cleveland or Cincinnati. You know, Ohio just is not my friend this month. So I'll go ahead and hit apply.
Not a Buckeye fan.
Yeah. I'm from the Midwest, you know. And so we're telling the system, hey, avoid these pairings at all costs. I don't want any layovers, landings, anything in Cleveland or Cincinnati. So then I can come back here, and then I can come over here to awards. So now I have my awards going on. So now if I'm a commuter, or if I'm someone that is in base and I'm looking for something specific. So if I'm looking for something specific in the sense of pairing total credit, and I want, the highest credit I can get. So I want to do greater than 22 hours. I want every trip possible for 22 hours. I'm going to hit apply. So now it's going to tell me, hey, avoid these two avoid these 2 cities, but award anything that's greater than 22 hours. And, we can get more specific down in here. But that's kind of how we're going to go through them. So like as a perfect bid, you want to set your conditions, if you want to work a lot that month, or if you don't want to work a lot that month, or if you don't care, then don't put a condition in there. Then if you want certain days off, that's the prefers. So, don't forget about your prefers. Those are the best ways to select on how to get those days off.
See, and this is why I wanted Justin involved in this, because, I've been here for 4 years, and, I've been on reserve for a long time. So I'm kind of a recent, new line holder, but you're showing me where to put some of these things where I hadn't even thought of using them before. I'd never thought of putting an L start next bid group at the end of a set condition minimum credit window. I would always put it like at the end of a listed days off. So yeah, the software goes into a lot of depth and can be rather complicated. So, I mean, it's almost where you never stop learning what this software can do. So,
yeah.
All right.
And it's a great, and so say we built, this is the perfect pairing we want to see. We can come over here and click this analyze tool. It's going to analyze this pairing. And it's going to say, hey, these are the matching bid lines. So you can see here, we have nothing that will match that bid line.
Yeah.
So, now we can kind of say like, okay, let me get rid of, a 22-hour trip. And as you can see here, now we've opened this back up. So there's 271 pairings that fit this criteria now. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so now we know, okay, maybe our pairing total credit for 22 hours was a little ambitious. So we can go over here. We can come back up here. And we can click on this little guy over here and we can click edit. And we can close out of here. We'll come over here, hit edit. This will bring up and it will have it already selected. So award pairings. We'll come down here to where we were saying pairing total credit. And let's move it down to 19 hours. Mm-hmm. And then we'll hit apply. So now we've edited it down to 19 hours. We can come back over here to our analyze tool. It's going to analyze for us. We're going to see how many pairings were actually available to us. Potential pairings that are awarded here, there are 47 potential pairings out of everything.